video lined up. I just didn't have the B-roll. I'm doing like a quick little MTV Cribs thing, but it
Oh
just,
yeah, with your new house. Congrats, by the way. That's cool.
I appreciate you, man. Yeah, probably looks, well, I think in the back, in the last house, I used to have green screen in the back. I don't know, man. I've moved the stuff around so much, but what's going on, Kill Switch? How's everyone doing tonight? Feels good though, you know, when you move into a new place, and even, you know, I'd imagine when you had your brewery, you just got to figure your stuff out, right? Like sometimes the HVAC spits out colder air or hotter air to this vent, and this side of the house isn't getting it, or, you know,
Oh
there's
yeah.
bad water pressure here, but not there. Why is there a bathroom light flickering in the daytime, but not at the nighttime? You know, just a lot of stuff. You know, it's a house from 1952. So,
Cool. Yeah.
but cheers, brother. I'm glad you're here. What you drinking over there? You drinking some
Hey man.
Tanglefoot?
Yeah, I've got a little 12-degree pale lager. This is one of the last ones out there, and I've got my signature branded Yeti cup. So we're gonna
There it
keep
is.
that right there.
Well, I want some stuff, so we'll throw some links in there. Let me pull up. What's up, Kill Switch? What's going on, man? I actually got a super chat from BL Brewing Co. Has tipped $25. Congrats on
Nice.
the new pad. I appreciate that, man. Much love. Cheers. What's up, Northwest Small Batch? First Wednesday in the new pad. I've got, if you guys could see my setup right now, it's so Jimmy rigged. I feel like there's going to be an electrical fire, like I was telling Andy. But I've got the lamp coming in from here. We're good. I've just got a little mic stand, but we are working with what we got. What's up, Zach Pearson? But this is Andy. He's out there on the outskirts of Austin in Temple, Texas.
Yeah.
And he recently decided to pull the plug on his brewery, Tanglefoot Brewery. And I've got a link to your Instagram in the description of this video. I hope that's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
But you
Yeah,
were,
and I live in Austin, by the way. So
let me kill this. Okay. So what's that commute like? About 20 minutes?
no, an hour.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, that was one of the big major problems with running the brewery out there is that it was such a long commute.
Were the majority of the people from the small town of Temple, or were they coming from Austin?
Like the customers?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Most people are from Temple.
Okay. Kill Switch, pouring one out. That's what we're doing, man. And Annie's in good spirits right now. In your
Oh yeah.
last video, you were talking about morale going down over the last 6 months. And I can imagine there was a lot of weight on your, you know, I mean, I can imagine, but I don't know what it's like to have that type of weight on your shoulders. How long were you thinking about pulling the plug before you did it?
Probably at least 6 months. So to give kind of like I guess I could give a little
Cheers,
wrap
everyone.
up for those that aren't. Yeah, here you go. And thanks again for having me on, dude.
Yeah, 100%.
So kind of the quick story is, you know, my story. I started my brewery in 2021, and then I started the YouTube channel shortly after that. I want to say like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and started getting some traction on the YouTube channel and did more kind of like day in the life stuff and some more process stuff because I've been in the beer industry for like 11 years now.
You ran a
And
brew
so just
pub
wanted
before
to,
that.
yeah, so I ran a brew pub in Austin called Black Star Co-op, and then I really wanted to do some with the YouTube channel, wanted to do some educational stuff, and so I did that, and then kind of also tracking the growth of a small brewery. And during that whole time, well, initially started in my family's barbecue restaurant, so tiny, tiny, tiny space initially with like 7 bar stools,
Cheers,
and
everyone.
then started to grow it a little bit and was still working full time at the other brewery. The barbecue shut down. Then I had to decide whether to close down my business as well or take over the whole space. Took over the whole space and gave it the old college try for about a year. About halfway through that was just like, you know, sales didn't really pick up as much as I anticipated, even though I opened an extra day. And so just never really got any traction, or at least as much traction as I needed. And then was pretty rough there near the tail end.
Yeah, and you brought up a lot of good points for those. Is it your last video? I know it's a recent video, but I don't know if it's your last video. I don't know if somebody wants to go and look back on that. What's up, Goosey? What's
Yeah,
up, Goose Bravo?
the last long format I did live stream recently, but yeah, the last long format video I did was on closing the brewery, and I'm gonna be editing and putting out another kind of like wrap up video about the closure as well soon.
And I do want some merch. We'll throw that in there in a second here. But quick little
Oh yeah.
recap on your video. You were talking about For starters, craft beer is completely different from when I got into it in 2010. That was the video I was trying to put out today, and I didn't really want to force the B-roll because I've got some good clips out there, and you kind of had the old school mentality in 2010 and that was my favorite part about craft beer is before the kids and the politics and the Yelp reviews and all these shitheads, it was like a thieves hideout. It was a business park. It was in San Diego. The first brewery we would go to was called Stumblefoot, and everything blew my mind because it was in a business park.
Dude, what are the odds?
Tanglefoot, Stumblefoot. I know. And it was such a trip because it's a business park, right? So there's manufacturing going on. There's people, I don't know, welding in these suites, and then there's like this like hideout. We can go in there and drink beer. Mm-hmm. And it was like it literally reminded me of like something in Zelda where you hit a bush and you fall through and all of a sudden you're in this like cool hangout. And I remember like the growler game and how territorial you had to buy their growler and they wouldn't fill it up. And back in the day there was I don't even know if there was branding or logos. It was just like we knew where to go. It like Stumblefoot, I couldn't even tell you what font family they had or what colors they had. It didn't matter. We just knew that this was a cool hangout. And then you found out there was another brewery around the corner and then another brewery around the corner. And this was cool. But on the other side of that, it probably felt like a disease, right? Like I got a lot of competition, and this time in 2010 in San Diego, like nobody knew how to make beer, So like making beer was like this potion. It was like this, how to make beer? There's no way. And then people figured out like it's like creating T-shirts, right? Anybody can make a T-shirt, but making that T-shirt cool is the tough part, And I just
there's a mystique to it as well.
I mean, the way I look at craft beer now, and I don't. Do you still call it craft beer? Because I'm pretty much done with that word. I think it's all a craft.
Well, yeah, that's kind of my position. But honestly, when I opened Tanglefoot, I intentionally did not put craft beer in any of the I didn't mark it as a craft brewery.
Yeah,
I just said we are a brewery that happens to make excellent beer. Call it what you want, but like it's beer that anybody can enjoy. So yeah, craft. I don't feel negatively about craft. I think it's it's definitely served its place over the years, especially coming from like an industry perspective. There was a lot of weight to that word for a long time because it was the point was to differentiate from macro beer.
Right.
But yeah, I think it has less and less value the more and more breweries that pop up.
I agree with that because craft beer, when I first started hearing about it, it was boozy beers. Like we would go to Stumblefoot and it would be like $5 for like an 8% black IPA. The black IPAs don't exist anymore. And the people that are still like yellow fit. What's up?
They're making a comeback. I've seen more black IPAs in the last like 6 months than I've seen in 10 years.
What's the ABV? Not like 8%, right?
Still?
Like 6, damn.
7. Yeah.
Interesting. What's up, Nathan? What's up, everyone? What's up, McMahon? Glad you got your beers. I shipped out beers to Ron Barnes and a couple people. I still owe somebody beers. It's the guy out there in Australia. What's up, Bergs, man? Much love. Much love, Braj. I was actually talking to Bergs the other day about who's killing it right now in beer and who's not. But the way I see people growing now, and I'm not talking about the distribution game because I don't really know about the distribution game except the margins aren't as good and it's almost impossible to get into. I think it's not worth it. But as far as the tasting room game goes, the two styles of brewery that are growing and killing it, it's the hype brewery. And I don't know what hype means other than like they have very cool branding. Again, I call them like the Supreme T-shirts or the 1994 Stussy shirt. The Stone, Stone Brewing of 2005. Or people just want to go the bring everyone vibe, right? Like
that's
the live music or the kids and the food. And I'm not knocking either of them. Those are just the two that are making money and growing.
That's what's working.
That's what's working.
And that's what's interesting about
successful
your perspective.
bingo and trivia. Like you have to hit on all of this shit.
Your story that you talk about with Zool is like it's so interesting to me because that particular model does not like outside. There's a couple of breweries in Texas that have a little bit more hype for like these special one. I mean, Martin House is a good example. They're up in Fort Worth and they have kind of their thing is like every week is a new wacky beer release, like a hot Cheeto beer, whatever.
Are they super sweet? Is it overly like sugar sweet?
Some can be, some can
Okay.
be real sour or whatever. But the point I'm making is that like generally don't see that like one beer brewery anymore
Right.
in Texas and in Austin specifically. The breweries that kind of are successful offer the most, just kind of the most options for the most amount of people in a large, comfortable space.
I agree with that. Big shout out to Alias, who's in Austin right there. And I was blown away because we were in Austin a year and a half ago, and they were all, it was like Nate from Treehouse. It's like, don't even focus on the beer, like focus on the establishment. And when I was in Austin, I couldn't believe that, all these breweries had stages and live music and there's kids running around. Like these are the brands that are going to kill it, at least for now. Who knows what it's going to be like in 5 or 10 years. But as far as like creating that, I call it the Billy Madison birthday breweries. Just bring everyone and anything goes. I'm not saying that to knock on something. I'm saying that because that's just the style And in my last video that I'm editing, I still want to work on the B-roll. I went to a brewery last week in Knoxville and I saw a woman breastfeeding. And
There you go.
and around this woman breastfeeding, she had 4 or 5 kids that were running around and playing tag. And I was thinking, when I got into craft beer, I don't think that existed. I don't think there was one woman in the history of America that was breastfeeding at a brewery from 2010 to 2015.
Yeah, I mean and the reason that is the case is that the demographic that built craft beer aged with craft beer. So like it was driven into the early 2010s by, early 20 somethings that then grew up, started families, started breweries, then built breweries to then accommodate like family friendly environments. And so it's just, it's a byproduct of the people that built the industry, which is also, I hear a lot of feedback from customers that do have kids and do have pets or like that vibe where they're like, this is the place that we can go and get out of the house altogether, and it's like
play
acceptable
cornhole,
to go and drink beer.
They've got pinball.
So it definitely fills that gap in the market, but it just begs that question for the people that are running the businesses, myself included. Is that a business that you're interested in operating? And for me, it was not. And not that the kids and family friendly thing was a deciding factor, because that it wasn't, but it's just one of those questions that you have to ask if you're going to be operating a brewery in 2024.
Yeah, and it pretty much flip-flopped, because back in 2010, it was like, let's go, like they've got the best beer, or they've got the best word of mouth for the best West Coast IPA, or they won gold at this and that. It's like, no one cares about awards. No one cares. Like they're going to have something on the menu, like if you have the best beer of all time and you're in this little hideout and this little nook and this and that, it's going to mean nothing. And I call it the 1%ers, the home brewers, the commercial brewers, the business owners. We're like, oh, this isn't good beer, this is bad, or this is stupid. Like, the joke's on us, because the market is the unique visitor, the return customer, and the word of mouth. That's what's pumping the money into this and that. So, I mean, the award, the GABF Gold, like that could be a good marketing tool that could get you some collabs and networking, but like that's not going to bring in a whole new demographic of customer.
Oh yeah, I saw it firsthand. I won a gold medal at Black Star in 2015.
Nothing happened.
And we were like the first day. It was like, honestly, it's not like the highlight of my career. It was like praise from your peers. You're high-fiving everybody at GABF. It's incredible high, and then the sales for that beer for maybe the week or whatever like skyrocket. And then just
after a week, it's just
normal.
Back to and
that I have heard the opposite though. I've definitely heard people that have gotten the gold medal for maybe more prestigious categories like double IPA or something, where that beer takes off, especially if it's in distribution. But yeah, for us,
that's a great point. If it's in distribution and people have easy access to it, that's a whole different thing. But if it's a beer no one's ever heard about, it can mean nothing. And also, I think that they carried way more weight back in the day. I mean, Sculpin won this whole beer thing, this whole Game of Thrones, selling out to Constellation for $1 billion. I had buddies that worked at Ballast Point after they got bought out. There was a monthly email that was like, we shouldn't have spent $1 billion on this brand.
Yeah,
we fucked up really good.
Evaluation was insane.
And then
good for them.
Yeah, and then Stone, because I'm making a video about like when I got into craft beer, versus then and now. And you have to talk about Stone and Ballast Point because they were like, they fucked with everyone's heads, right? Like back in the day, it was like, let's open up a brewery. I'm not saying it's a get rich quick scheme. That's as disrespectful to people like you, but it seemed like a foolproof plan. So I think those two brands pushed a lot of people to be like, start a brewery, start a brewery, start a brewery.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No doubt. And one of them sold out at the perfect time, like at the perfect time. And then Stone stuck around and had this mentality of like, we're never going to sell out. We're never going to sell out. And then ultimately one of those two sold for $1 billion and then Stone sold to Sapporo for like 100 million. So 1/10 of what Ballast Point did. And it was West Coast IPAs. And back to the forecasting, what we talked about, craft beer 15 years ago, it wasn't like, look at the menus now. You know, everything went back to light beer or light lagers. You know, it's as much as I say I love brown ales and West Coast IPAs, like, when was that time you bought a 6-pack or a 12-pack of a West Coast IPA? You're younger than me.
I've never bought a 12-pack of West Coast IPA, to be fair, but I love West Coast IPA. And
that's
in fact,
me
I've
too.
Recently been getting more interested in classic West Coast style IPA, but I mean, everyone's palate fatigues, especially like the craft beer. As one of the YouTube videos that I keep saying that I'm going to make, and I just haven't sat down to do it. But one of the videos is about the kind of what I call the craft beer bell curve of you get into craft beer. And the flavor intensity of the beer is on the lower end of the spectrum, pale ale, brown ale, and then you skyrocket to triples and quads and double barrel aged stouts with whatever, and then your palate fatigues and you come back to the basics. And for me, that was over like the course of 7 years. Now, like the craft beer consumer has every imaginable style available, so you're going through that like super quick and peaking and having the triple adjunct stouts that are blowing your palate out, and naturally you're going to want to drink something that's lighter. Also a reason that, in my opinion, I think that seltzers have been such a large hit to the beer market, is like, just give me something I don't have to think about that's light and refreshing.
Yeah, and seltzers are even kind of like a thing of the past now. And I was out with Bergs the other night. We pour beer. I've gone out with brewers, gone out with bosses and this and that. And I kind of I just look and see what everyone's drinking. It's either sweet stuff or it's light stuff. There's not a lot of people, again, I'm 39 years old, I'm 40. We get off work at 11:30, midnight. It's like drinking a double IPA or hazy is pretty gnarly. And we were out, and this is in the video. I think Bergs had a Guinness, which is what, maybe 4% sweet beer, very malty. I was drinking a Montucky, and then Mickey's, you know, like everything was light beer. Like nobody was even thinking about like, what's your craft beer? What do you have? What are your IPAs on? So the way that I look at it is what I see as selling is super sweet stuff. And I'm talking about like, you know, back in the day, we thought sweet was like adding puree or strawberries to an IPA, you know, but sweet now is like sweet. You know, and if you can not trick people, or I guess trick people, but people will drink the sour, and it's literally just a 10% base thing that's been back sweetened with just like fucking Gatorade powder, and they think it's like a lemon lime sour.
Yeah, I mean, look at any of the, like, I never really got into pastry stouts because I've always been I'm just a sucker for like a very well executed bourbon barrel aged stout that is not like super residually sweet, but like the pastry stout movement where you're sending out finished beer at like 8 to 10 degrees Plato, which is like a full strength 5% beer, like starting gravity.
I know.
And that's the residual sweetness that you're putting in cans.
Yeah. Yeah. Bergs knows what's up. What's up, Bergs? What's up, baby? Love you, dog. But explain to people what Plato is really quick. Plato to ABV, so they know like what's
dough that you have as a kid, and you can squish it and it makes hair.
What's
no, it's a measurement of sugar concentration, sugar density. So
it's just different hydrometer reading.
So specific gravity is in basically a measurement of the density of a solution as it relates to or compares to water. So if you have a 1040 beer, that's 1.04 times as
the brewery
dense
diabetes
as water. And then Plato is roughly a percentage sugar solution. So
10 Plato
10
would be
degrees
like
Plato is like
4 ABV.
yeah. So 10 degrees Plato is about 1040 specific gravity, and it's about a 10% sugar solution.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's just different, man. You know, back like anything, right? Like ketchup or raspberry or candy or Gatorade, you know, like at one time it probably was real fruit and people are just figuring out ways to just start with sugar. We don't have to mash in anymore. Like we always talk about how the styles are changing, but like the execution is definitely changing as well.
Yeah, it's weird too because you have this big influx of all these crazy adjunct beers that are just like like you were saying, it's a base alcoholic thing that doesn't even have to be beer. It's that whatever sparkling seltzer base that you then add a ton of adjuncts to, where it's not even the brewing is irrelevant. It's just adding fruit to it, and then at the same time you have the most well executed lagers, at least from craft breweries, that have ever been produced. Like people spending more time and effort on producing excellent lager beer than ever before. So it's this weird moment in time.
It is, and I see people with the hop oils now more than ever. I know they're expensive, and it's just one of those things where you know you find out this grapefruit IPA, and it's in circulation, it's killing it. Of course, it tastes nothing like an IPA. It's just straight sugar. And you're going back there with commercial brewers, or you're talking to the people with brewery owners, and like these the guys that you're the people you're with are like, dude, we buy like organic fruit, the most expensive, nicest stuff by the pound, and these guys are buying like straight up candy, and they're killing it.
Yep.
So it's a whole different thing right now, and sooner or later, beer, people are going to figure out cheaper and faster ways to get the exact same taste, and it's going to be like fucking Tang or Orange Bang sauce or Kool-Aid and stuff like that. And times are changing, man. I mean, the bottom line is just I don't know. Beer's fashion. Beer's just straight up fashion.
I mean, oh, totally. I mean, it's very trendy, and you kind of have to keep up with the Joneses. And all of my production brewery friends, like they're not in the beer game anymore. If you're a distributing brewery, you're not really in the beer game. You're in the beverage manufacturing game, which means you're doing seltzer, you're doing hop water, you're doing maybe THC drinks, maybe you're doing some wine, maybe you're doing liquor now, the RTDs. So people that with large production capacity that are just diversifying their portfolio of alcoholic beverages.
And you're talking about production, or are you talking about tasting room? Are you talking about distribution?
Production.
Production,
Yeah,
okay.
more
'Cause
production focused breweries. Tasting room is the thing about that's weird about the tasting room is like those hype beers don't. I mean, that's cool in the tasting room environment, but like the thing that keeps butts in seats is like variety and mass appeal. So like those hype beers that have a bunch of crazy stuff in them, like that's cool, but generally people are taking that beer to go share or whatever. Maybe you've seen different experiences, but like breweries here that have a big crowd to watch bands, like they need people drinking lager and and champagne or prosecco.
That's what I'm saying. I don't
Um,
I don't think beer matters at all anymore. I think you have to work backwards now. And I have friends that hit me up and they're like, dude, I'm bummed I can't open up a brewery. My investor fell through. And I talked to him because like 15 years ago, if somebody was opening up a brewery, you'd be like, man, how do I help out? Like, can I get on board? Now when somebody opens up a brewery, it's like you kind of don't even think about the beer, man. Like, do you have a good brand guy? Do you know a promotion guy? Like, can you get people in there for the food truck? Like, do you know how to get people in there? Like Nate from Treehouse, as much as his channel cringes me out doing the 8-minute, Coors Light beer tasting review, he was saying you got to work backwards. Like don't even.
yeah,
This woman right here that hates craft beer, this woman that's like, why don't they have Chardonnay? And beer's gross, and let you know, like, it's not good. How do we get her in here? And if we get her in here,
yeah.
we can get everybody in here. So let's work backwards. Let's have places on the water. Granted, this guy's got more money than Fort Knox, but let's make it savvy and let's make it, like a dining room theme and this and that. And whatever you're doing, just keep doing. I'm talking about the event stuff. And in your video, you're like, that wasn't me. I didn't want to do that. And I've talked to, like, I've been to drag shows and burlesque shows and Street Fighter 2 tournaments. I don't care if you like it or not. If it's working, people are going to order something on the menu. People are going to get something, whether it's a light beer or a hard seltzer or a sugar, a hard soda or whatever. Like, if you can keep the entertainment thing going, and you don't need to have like a place on the water, you don't need to have the nicest oceanfront boardwalk establishment. Like, there's places that are, small business parks. If you could get like your Monday night, like your Dungeons and Dragons, and then Tuesday your Chet, like you run a good thing, like that could be awesome.
Yeah, it's just not a brewery. That's fine.
If
you want to run that business, it's just you're running the restaurant event space, and that's fine. Hospitality business.
Yeah, and you always talk about that in your videos, and I love that.
Yeah, if you go into it with that perspective, you will be 10 times the better for it. But if you go into it thinking that, like I did, if to be totally frank, the beer industry is propped up by a bunch of ego, and I'm not exempt from that. And like, you want your beer to make a difference. You want your beer to stand out and be kind of like chosen above other beers, and like that goes so far, or that only goes so far. And then now what? Now, like, I need a place for my kids to come, and we need to have chicken nuggets.
Food, two food options.
We need
pizza,
multiple food options.
burritos.
Yeah, we need pizza. We need whatever. So yeah, as long as if you're okay with that being the business model, and like you're saying, beer is fifth on the list of importance, then it comes down to basic like retail principles: location,
parking lot,
right?
Yeah,
parking. Yeah, all that classic kind of restaurant retail stuff.
Right.
So yeah,
and not only that, but that's what it takes. And not only do bartenders or beer tenders or people that want to work at breweries, I tell them that just get a job at like Outback Steakhouse. If you want to be front of house, work at a Chili's or the Hyatt restaurant, because if this brewery's clicking for a couple of years, cool, more power. I'm all for the dollar turning over. And the only thing that I think is cool anymore is kind of employing people and just creating jobs. But who knows if this brewery is going to be cool in 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Like, restaurants will always be fine. Like, it's a different experience, but it's just crazy how fast this craft beer thing has changed. Because I'm in Knoxville, and there's probably 30 breweries, and I'm finally starting to hear that these guys are going under, or these guys are for sale. And even worse, like, no one gives a shit. They're for sale for a year now, and it's 4 guys that got into it. Like, what do you do? This guy wants to keep it going. This guy wants to spend more money. This guy wants out. Next thing you know, there's a lawsuit, and they're destroyed their friendships. I mean, it's just a whole different game. You really need to know what you're doing.
Yeah, and you have to kind of, I mean, it sucks to say, but like having a large amount of capital at the ready when you open these things. One, it's necessary to open a brewery, because you have to buy the equipment, you have to build out and find the space. But like, having a large amount of capital to be able to sink into it during tougher times, or to try to scale or do whatever you have to do,
or bank on this tasting room when this place isn't doing so hot, or you could get through slow season with this distribution. Like, they can kind of balance.
And a lot of those smaller spots just don't. I mean, me exactly is the perfect example. But like, a lot of those smaller spots just don't have that, and so then you're like, all right, I'm paying a whatever, however many thousands of dollars a month on this equipment loan, and overhead for the tap room, and we're just like, it's not breaking even. So it's a tricky business model unless you execute the retail part of it. The hybrid thing is kind of you're seeing a lot of trouble with that, because if you're distributing beer on the market, like, it's bad economics on a small scale. And so if you're like, hey, I'll get one right after you. But basically, if you're distributing beer on the market at a small scale, you're really not going to be able to make money, because you just don't have the economies of scale. And so you're having to subsidize with the tap room. And so you take this, what could be a profitable business model, and the retail sales of beer over the counter, and kind of like dilute the profit margin, the profitability of it, by having this wholesale aspect of the business that loses money. So more and more of those, like, pivoting, those breweries that are pivoting to the on-site taproom experience exclusively and pulling out a distro. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think all we're in the bottom line. This next video I'm going to talk about of like the three things, or the video after the video, because I was damn near done with this fucking video today, man. I was going to put this video out, my MTV Cribs video, but the video after that I'm going to talk about the three reasons why craft beer is different or it's struggling. But the bottom line is that you need money. There's no, like, you can disagree with everything I'm about to say about, you know, everything coming full circle and back to the lager, or the forecasting was god awful, or there was just way too many people that had access to money that had no experience in leadership and this and that thought that they could do this on the fly. There's how many breweries have opened in the last 10 years? Like 1,200 in America. How many people
in the last 10 years?
Yeah. How many craft breweries were in the last?
Oh, like 8,000.
There were? I thought it was 1,000.
There were 2,800 breweries when I got into craft beer
in 2015
in 2012.
In 2012? Say that again?
Yeah. There were 2,800 breweries in the United States when I got into craft beer in 2012.
Okay.
I could be off by a year, maybe 2011. But then there are almost 10,000 breweries now.
Right. So okay, this is even a better analogy. Beer is this one weird thing where we make, and we know nothing about the business. We don't know how to run a restaurant. We don't know, what did we call it before, the industry or the hospitality side?
Yeah.
There's no other thing on planet Earth. Like, who's ever made lasagna or a pizza and been like, time to run a restaurant? Just because you can make good food at home means nothing about branding.
Actually, I'll push back.
You're starting
and say
a pizza place?
That's exactly how the restaurant industry works too.
Is it?
That's the problem. So I don't know if you know anything about.
Cheers, y'all.
My first career was in food, and so worked in the restaurant industry for a while.
Right, but you worked at a restaurant. You weren't just making shit at home and being like.
I know, but the point is that restaurants are a worse business than breweries, objectively, I would say, because it's uber competitive.
Right.
But a lot of that is driven by people that are like, my family says I cook really good baked ziti, so I'm going to open a baked ziti spot, with very little thought into what it takes to run a successful business. So
yeah.
Just a caveat in there that, yeah, there's plenty of those in that industry as well.
And at this point, kind of exactly what we're talking about with beer, let's use pizza for the reference. Say everybody in here, what do we got? 43 people or whatever. What was the number? 2,300 to how many breweries were there in the last 12 years?
Yeah,
8,000?
Yeah,
okay,
I think my math was a little off, but yeah, from like 2,800 breweries to close to 10,000.
At that point, if everybody's making beer or everyone's making pizza, it's got nothing to do with the pizza anymore. Like, pizza's pizza, you know, it's not that much. Like, I still go to Domino's. People are like, oh my God, this new Italian place got the best sourdoughs. I'm like, I don't think, you know, it's still fucking bread and melted cheese and marinara sauce. It's the ultimate comfort food. Everybody likes this food. So if 8,000 people this year come out with new pizza joints, sooner or later, the people that are going to prevail, it's going to have to do very little with the pizza. It's the guy that knows how to run the business with the well-oiled machine, that has the margins and the leadership, and he's done this before. And I don't know. I think beer is just kind of going that way. And again, as much as I'm saying, telling my friends, like, don't open up a brewery, there will be breweries that open up in 2025, 2026 that are just going to be ripping. And I want the guys with the experience, with the business background. I don't want the home brewers that have the best beer. If you have the leadership and you've got that well-oiled machine, the beer will take care of itself. Do you agree with that?
I think that having great beer is kind of par for the course now. It's like, it's not even in the top four, like, top attributes of what should make a successful brewery nowadays.
Well, let's give it the top five. Location.
Top five. But
promote.
Having said that, it's also necessary. Like, beer is not the most important thing, but you at least have to make great beer, or good beer, let's say. And so I do find it hard to believe that a brewery opens up nowadays with all the attributes and makes shitty beer and stays in business very long.
I'm going to disagree with you and Zach Pearson right now. Big shout out to Trev Who. Big shout out to Trevor for that super chat. What I'm saying is that when I go to places right now, with the places I go to, it has nothing to do with good beer at all. All I care about is like a cool spot where my friend is a bartender. There's going to be
Yeah.
something there that I like. I don't care unless the place has like nothing but Belgians or smoked beers. We have a problem, but I don't. If a new brewery opens up down the street and they're like, "Hey, man, check out their new ESB. It's got cold metal." That means nothing to me at all. All I want to go is see where my friends are at a cool spot, and they could have 10 beers there that are all great and hit that style. If I'm not in that style, say they have like Coors Banquet on, not maybe in a bottle or in a can in the back. Like I'll just get that. Like the beer has nothing to do with how I spend my money nowadays.
I should clarify what my point is, that you can't get away with having technically flawed beer. Like you can't get away with like oxidized, undercarbed, infected beer.
Right. You're talking about off flavors. Correct. Yeah.
Well, which was a thing though for a long time in craft beer. And so now it's like, even if you don't like the beer or whatever, it's like at least like technically brewed appropriately, which nowadays with the amount of information and the amount of breweries out there, I think is kind of like the barrier to entry for the industry. But I'm sure there's some exceptions out there too that are just cranking out infected beer and people don't give a shit because they've got $2 chicken sandwiches on Thursday.
True. And I'm, hot dog night for $1. I agree with that. I'm just saying that, I'm just saying if someone wants to go to a place, they're going to go to the place.
Yeah, for sure.
At the end of the day, if my friend's working and the beers that they had on draft, they all got rid of, and they had White Claw, Blackberry White Claw, I'm still going to go there and hang out with my friend and watch, the Padres game or whatever, like there's no beer and saying like they have to have good beer. That's subjective because beer, it's not everyone thinks that this exact beer is this good and this and that. It's just a different world. It's just a completely different world. It's just all hospitality related at this point, or creature of habit, or localized, or close to your house. And again, like 15 years ago, we would drive to Temecula to check out a new IPA. It's like there's no way I would do that anymore. Even if I had friends in town, they're like, "Hey, let's go check out this brewery an hour away." I'm like, "We're not doing that. We're going to be drunk and you figure it out." We're just not doing that.
I think that I personally haven't been like a craft beer consumer, like an active craft beer consumer for a long time because I've been in the industry. I one, brew beer that I get to drink for free, and two, go to breweries and get beer for free. So my kind of buying habits are skewed.
Yeah.
But I do see that there's still a level of enthusiasm, but I think the main issue is like you've got a much larger pie. So like you have many more people that are interested in craft beer than were 10 years ago. But the people 10 years ago were buying 10 times as much. And nowadays it's not nearly as like high frequency or high volume, I feel, as it used to be, where, I'd go out to a different brewery every night of the week and like go try the new beer, see what events are going on. And now it's like, oh, breweries are just there. Like if we go to a brewery, I'll have a beer. If we go to a beer bar, maybe I order craft beer, maybe I get a Coors. I think that the frequency of like seeking out craft beer is much lower.
Oh, for sure. There's no doubt about it. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And kind of back to your story, like where do you go from here now that you closed up shop? Do you want to are you just like done with beer now? Like that was it. I just want to get out. Or are you going to get back into the front of the house or back of a house and work at a pub? I mean, what's your next move? Livelihood.
That's a great question. Do you mind if I get another refill?
No. Get a refill. And I want to get a link in there too. Do you still have some merch that's available?
I have a build your own merch button on the website where you can select the size and a color, and then I'll print it up and ship it to you. And then I'm going to add a couple of other things this week, I think. I'll be right back.
Okay, let me try to figure that out. What's going on, everybody? What's up, Unicycle Master? Can see Northwest Small Batch here. And again, we're all, for us in here, we're all very biased, right? Because we're like, if you have good beer, you'll be fine. And I as time goes on, I disagree with that less and less and less. That was how it was, 2012, 2014, 2015. I need to get Trev Hu on. But
All right.
it's,
Sorry about that.
going back to Nate from Treehouse, it's like just don't even think about the beer. Think about everything else. But this whole conversation is subjective, and I just when I have a friend that wants to open up a brewery now, I ask him like, what do you do? Like, did you work at a brewery? Were you a manager or a GM or at least a seller or something? They're like, no, I work construction or I was a pool guy. I'm like, dude, don't do it. You have no clue what you're doing. You've honestly, like, were you even a manager of people as a software engineer? Like, do you even know how to delegate like disgruntled employees, or this person hates this person now and this person doesn't want to work with that person now, or this person drinks too much and we're supposed to have a shifty and go home and this person has 3. Do you have the balls to tell that person like, you're fucking blowing it, you're fucking do that again, you're fired? But you can't say that how I just said it. You got to feather it and write them all up. Now it's like, do you really want to open up a brewery? Do you really know like having employees is a nightmare? It's an absolute disaster, and there's very few good employees out there that I would vouch for, even, and they could say the same thing about me, but everybody in here has a job. Would you hire everybody at your job? Like, fuck no. I'd take like the good and then, I'd deuces fam and open up my own thing.
Yeah. So to answer your question before I
And you were,
left to
but
get
you
more beer.
didn't have any employees, right? Like you were,
No, it was just me.
so you were super lucky in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to, hey,
Yeah,
this guy's staring at his phone behind the eating food behind the bar, like you didn't have to deal with any of that.
yeah. So I mean, I did deal with that at the other brewery that we ran, but we also had a pretty unique structure where it wasn't like
It was a
there was no
oil
owner.
machine.
Nah, not I wouldn't say that, but like there was no owner. It was a cooperatively owned business, and so we all kind of ran the business together. So we had a much more unique management style and experience, but definitely, yeah, dealt with employees and stuff, and did
More of
not
a-
want to deal with that out of the gate. I wanted to go solo until it justified me hiring somebody,
Yeah.
which it didn't.
Jorge, you're absolutely right. See what part? Dealing with employees is an absolute nightmare. It's a disaster. What's up,
Yeah.
Jorge? How you doing down there in Puerto Rico? Or
Yeah,
this
man,
person,
it's,
like if I owned a brewery and this person was bitching, oh, I hate this, I hate that. It's like, do you know how fucking hard I've worked to open up this place and how much I had to like financially gamble with my life and my family just to hire you? Now you're like bitching all the time. Like I couldn't deal with that. I couldn't deal with any of that.
so my pet peeve forever has been when people, and there's the beer industry is pretty solid because everybody's pretty stoked on what they're doing. But like my biggest
Whoa,
pet peeve
what do
is
you mean? Back of house or front of house? Because I know way too many front of house people that are just like, I hate
in
this.
the brewery, yeah, like actually brewing the beer. For a long time, at least that's been the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I can't stand when people are like, man, owners are doing this, like they should really be doing it this way, like they shouldn't be doing this release, they should do this. And I'm like,
I hear that.
bro,
Yeah.
it's their business, like just shut up and do it. Like you don't have to work there, like you don't have to do the things, and you can give valuable feedback and input, but like saying that like they shouldn't be making business decisions to keep the like literally the lights on, because that's
Right.
often what it comes down to is like
Right.
if only you knew, like it's a lot. But
Yeah.
to answer your question originally before I left about what's the plan going forward.
Yeah. Sorry.
So so I'm like in the immediate future, I started doing some consulting work with a buddy who owns a consulting company, or a couple of buddies in the industry that own a consulting company. So I've been doing some small consulting projects on the side,
Brewery
and
related?
then yeah, it's a brewery consulting company. So like getting people that are still opening breweries
Right.
need help, and I was pretty jaded about that for a while. Like I never wanted to do consulting. I've always been a doer rather than a like let me tell you what to do, even though I have my own opinions and stuff. But yeah, I kind of found it to be, I see the value in it. Like if somebody's wanting to do this and they're going to do it either way, at least get some professional help, and we have some professional insight. So anyways, that, and then we'll most likely be getting some other part-time job. I'm not certain if it's going to be in the industry right away. I've had a few offers for doing some like brewing and cellar work and stuff like that, which I'm not
Part time.
really, Yeah, I'm just not like I
Just
don't
some
really want to
gigs.
jump behind a brew house again right now.
Yeah,
I'd
I would
rather
imagine.
work towards something else, and then but on the long term scale, I want to build another business that may or may not be involved in the beer industry, but something that isn't me like manufacturing beer.
Food.
And no, no,
Okay.
but something I don't have a hard answer. I'm not avoiding it. I'm just but I want to build a better business model to begin with, something that actually like serves a need in the market.
Right.
And so I've done a lot of thinking about this over the last few months. And then as far as Tanglefoot's concerned, though, like I don't the brand's still alive. The actual brewery is closed, but I'm going to continue to keep the brand alive. I've got some potential opportunities to get like to brew the beer and get it out into the market, even though it's not really a viable business option. Basically, contract brewing, but like in a simpler way. And then some collabs and stuff here and there, and then keeping the YouTube thing going. So a lot of stuff still kind of around Tanglefoot, but not like me physically brewing beer in Temple.
The collab thing is, I was sleeping on the collab thing. I didn't know how crucial it was. I didn't know that the craft beer had this cool kids club, like all the hype breweries. If you look at their Instagrams, and we talked about this last time, and Jorge knew about Tripping Animals and Irie Jungle and all these festivals, and you know, it's networking, collaborations. It's kind of just a nicer word for politics, trying to getting in with people. And that's a huge move. That's something that you could fucking make or break your whole brand. How hungry were you? I mean, you were a one man machine. How much time did you have to like reach out to people for a collab and the right collab? Because there's going to be someone
I
out there that's going to want to do it, but like, I don't know if this is going to really cross promote us both.
I actively avoided them. I did a couple when I first opened, and over the years, my own personal goals with the brand were like collaborating didn't achieve those goals. So I did a few collaborations that I was really proud of, and like connected with a couple of other breweries and brewed different versions of the a Czech lager, basically. And then once I did about three of those, I kind of ran out of steam for it because it was like my menu is pale lager, 10-degree pale lager, 12-degree pale lager, 13-degree Tamave, 14-degree Pole Tamave. So I covered kind of like the strength, the average strength, and then the 22-degree Tamave, which is like a stout version. So I covered like the kind of like the ambit of strengths, and then the colors that are appropriate and accurate to like Czech beer culture, and then everything else kind of in between. Just did like the difference between a 10-degree pale lager and an 11-degree pale lager was not necessarily something that I thought would be. We brewed that actually. I brewed that with a friend brewery, but I just like outside of that, like a 10.5-degree pale lager, a 9-degree pale lager, I just didn't want to necessarily focus on doing that because I didn't see the like if you want to brew these beers, all the recipes are online, and I'd be happy to come and like tell you all the tips and secrets. But the the kind of transparent answer to that is like collaborations lost a lot of value to me a few years ago because they're fun and they're driven by like people getting together and like sharing information and
Yeah, it's a
building a new
network.
beer and all that stuff. Um, Two things: all the beers have been done. That's a very jaded statement, but like pretty much all the beers have been brewed. Like
Right,
any
but people
idea that you
people
have been
people
brewed.
want the label, the trash. Like I want the
Yeah,
Gremlin, T-shirt from Zool and Other Half or Tripping Animals. Like that's what I want. I know the sour in there or whatever is in the bottle or can. Like I don't even care about. Like I might not even open. I want the Supreme T-shirt, the 1994 Stussy T-shirt.
exactly. And then the second part of that, which was honestly the more important one, was that the original intent for collaborations was to collaborate, was to come together and I learn something from you. You teach me something, I teach you something, and we build something that is kind of greater than the sum of the parts. And that is like it promote like it moves the industry forward. We innovate or we like I participated in a couple collaborations early in my career that I really thought like added to the beer scene, like changed kind of like what a style could be and do these things. And I kind of have seen so many collaborations that are like, let's get together and drink beer at 10 a.m. and we'll add two different hops that we haven't used to this hazy base. And that's a collaboration. And I personally was like not interested in that. I just was burnt out on it. So that was kind of the reason that I didn't explore it too much, especially on the Tanglefoot side. I didn't feel like I had too much to explore.
And you're also wasting time. You're getting away from what you're supposed to be brewing, what's supposed to be on your schedule, and this and that. So it's really got to be worth it.
And the thing about that, again, like I'm pretty cynical and jaded after as a person, but also after being in it for so
No,
long.
and
But
you
like,
talked about that. You talked about like your demeanor and your attitude the last 6 months was just like,
yeah, but also like when you like, there's also another aspect of collaboration. Like if you do a collaborate, or let's say I did a collaboration with Zool, right, and that would heavily benefit me, right? Like they have this weight that would like boost my brand, which is kind of the point. But if I did a collaboration with somebody else local that had a production facility and they brewed 10 barrels of beer and then sold it all out into the market and like get your name out and stuff like that, from a business standpoint, that's like they produce all the beer, they make all the revenue from that, any promotional, unless I brewed it on my system as well, which is often not the case. um
yeah. I always thought
but
about
it kind
that.
of lives at, yeah, it lives with the other business. So not that that's the point, is
Great
to
point.
like
That is a
profit
great
off of
point
it,
though, because right, because
but it's one
you're not
aspect,
brewing
yeah.
collabs on both systems, right? You're just kind of teaming up and
Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I,
Most of the times though, it's kind of like, let's get together and let's brew it, and then we'll have like this release it'll be the hype. If there is a hype behind it, it'll be the hype for one of the breweries that
yeah,
then sells through. And there's no um yeah, it's not like a revenue thing for the other
right.
brewery.
Zach Pearson collaborations are always a marketing thing. Every
Yeah,
beer is
very
a
true.
marketing thing.
Very true. Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah. Business is a marketing thing.
Right. And again, man, I legitimately look at, I don't even, and I hate to say this on the Hoppy Hour, I really do, because we are like the 1% I talked about, the people that are like, dude, Citra versus Mosaic and this and that. But nobody, all these breweries that are successful, no, the people that are spending, $20,000 on a Friday or $25,000 on a Saturday, and they're doing $50,000, $60,000 on a weekend, and there are breweries that are consistently doing that. There's maybe 100, maybe 200 in America. Nobody gives a fuck what's inside of it. Nobody cares at all whether it's Simcoe or Mosaic or this and that. It's all branding. It is nothing except for that label that's on the front, and it's not even. It's everything, right? Like I said, ketchup earlier. Heinz ketchup 100 years ago was probably more tomato-y, and they used real stuff, and it was more of tomato based. And they figured out like, well, if we just add a ton of more sugar in it and give it food coloring, it's going to sell a lot more, and this and that. Like I just see like that's kind of the way the beer is going to go, and not so much sugar and this and that. I just I look at beer now as I look at fashion. Like again, we care what's inside of it, and we can call it good beer, or bad beer all day long. But to like again, we are the 1%, the 99, we are the 0.0001%. You got to get that.
Yeah.
You got to get that. That middle-aged woman in there, that Cruella Deville. If you can get her in there, like you're cooking with grease. She's just drinking sugar water, carbonated sugar water.
Yeah.
She thinks it's beer.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal for that brewery.
Yeah, it would be interesting, like, to see what the beer industry looks like in 10 more years. Obviously, everybody is
Well,
curious about that, but like what the average, because the average consumer is now more educated about beer than ever. Like there's more beer education done in the last 10 years than has ever been done for the general population. And so like having a more educated consumer, but is does that does does the average person find that valuable. I think so. I would like to think so because I like educating people, but
Same
it would
with
be interesting
me.
to see if it's
But do
like,
we
yeah,
really care what's inside a Coke Zero or a Diet Coke? Do we really care if it's real sugar, or if it's coming from cane or this place or that place? Like people just want the label, you know, and
not for those, but yeah, for like a craft soda for sure. I mean, that's the kind of the point, right? Like the craft version of any of these products is like get behind the curtain and yeah, it's a little more expensive, but I know where it came from and I know the person that produced it and I know, all the ins and outs of the brand. And like I think maybe it was you that was saying on the live stream, like, why do we like what other business model do we like know the political beliefs of the company that we're supporting? Like we go to this business and drink their beer because they lean this direction that I'm politically aligned with. I don't know if that was you that said that, but I somebody said it and I thought it was really funny.
I think, I mean, ultimately the political thing, and I can't stand politics, especially at a brewery, because brewery, like we call it, drugs and alcohol, but it's all really just drugs. Whoever started calling it drugs and alcohol was probably an alcohol company to market it. But at the end of the day, like, and I'll probably bring this up in a video, it's like, hey man, we just want to get high. Like we're not opening up a boys and girls club or a summer camp. Like we just want to have 4 or 5 beers, and not even the political thing. But when you go into a brewery sometimes and like they have a mission statement up, it's like, we're trying to give back to the community and this and that. Like, dude, I just want to get fucking a little bit inebriated. I don't give a shit about the fucking community or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
alcohol is a goddamn drug, Yeah, it's marijuana in the 50s, reefer madness, and now marijuana's cool and socially acceptable, and there's like politics behind it. It's like, dude, I just want to get a little fucked up, man. I don't want to fucking, like, and I'm not saying like political, like that's fine. Put up an American flag or put up a pride flag, totally cool. But I'm talking about like 10% of this is going back to charity and all this stuff. It's like, dude, we're just trying to get a little fucked up, man. We're just trying to get a little fucked up, like, again, as much as I drink and I love alcohol, you got to call it, a spade a spade. Like alcohol is a drug.
It's kind of
some drugs are more taboo and some drugs are more socially acceptable. And alcohol is the poster child of what is socially acceptable. So to be like going to a place and like and I'll probably say this in the video, but like, did you see the video, Chris Rock's last special on Lululemon? You go into a place and everything's like equality, equality, equality. He's like, there's no such thing as equality. Like you're selling $100 yoga pants from fucking China.
Yeah.
And it's like breweries. I go into Asheville and it's like, we love everyone. We love everyone. Well, you're selling lagers for like $9 a pop. You love everyone? Let me bring these 4 homeless guys in here to drink water and use your phone, and these 2 families that want to use your tables as No. We love everyone when you're burning your whole paycheck here. We love you when you spend all your money here. If you just want to hang out and order a soda and chill out and use our bathroom, we're not so fucking equal anymore, Like we kind of want you to get the fuck out of here. And we're going to call the cops. So like to bring that into beer or marijuana, or if cocaine gets legal, like super like woke cocaine cod.
Dude, New Belgium's gonna have like 8 lines on the shelf.
Lines out the door, man. Bum, bum, bam, bum, 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 bam, bam. Every seat was a nosebleed.
Have you noticed that
Cocaine con?
The hottest selling format recently has been the stovepipe, the 19.2s, the tall boys. And
no, that's the English style, right? That's very like a English Western Europe thing.
I don't know. I think it may be, but they're like they're like the taller.
Tall and skinny, like the Imperial Voodoo Ranger. Yeah.
But no, that format is driven by Voodoo Ranger. Like that format of 9% double IPA, Voodoo Ranger specifically, is like crushing it in those 19.2 cans. Crazy.
Voodoo Ranger is killing it in the distribution game. I don't know why they opened up a tasting room in California. They're the best ever in the distribution game right now.
Yeah, that whoever the marketing guy was that said we need to change our entire brand to a hazy IPA, double hazy IPA brand is a genius.
Do you ever notice that all the successful brands they're all like a skull? People love the skull or a demon or a hell thing. It's always like I'm rocking Resident Culture right now. They're huge. You see that?
What is that?
Resident Culture. They're got to be in Tennessee or North Carolina. I love these
Is that a
guys.
brewery?
Yeah, Resident Culture. They're huge. Oh,
Okay.
they're large. But even like the Stone Demon or like Liquid Death Water, everything's like Death or Jolly
Hmm.
Roger or something. I mean, I think there's something behind this whole. It's universal. Everyone dies. It's kind of badass.
Yeah. Could be a sign of the
I
times.
mean, what is the voodoo sign of the times? We're all gonna die. What's the Voodoo Ranger logo? It's like a skeleton wearing a top hat, like an Abraham Lincoln
Yeah.
hat.
Well, it changes out. Is it like some has like a hard hat, like an army hat, and yeah, it's like each they have a bunch of them,
The
a bunch of different
skeleton works,
branding, but yeah,
man.
it's the skeleton.
Dia de Muertos.
Yeah, Dia de los Muertos.
And the thing about Voodoo Ranger is that'd be a good, like if it won the gold medal or whatever, it's like that'd be a huge thing because you see Voodoo Ranger everywhere. You could go to the smallest little gas station in the biggest podunk mountain town. I
Oh
guarantee you
yeah,
they have a version of
it's
not
insane.
only that, but they probably have like 4 or 5 variations of Voodoo Ranger. And what
Yeah,
are the
my local,
variations?
they're just
Single,
different. They're
hazy,
just different. Like it's this. I think there's like an 8% version and a 9% version, and
Imperial. I've seen that. I know a
mhm,
black, but like back in the day, remember Sculpin had like pineapple or grapefruit or
mhm.
like what
Yeah.
what are the actual variations? Just the ABV?
I'm looking it up right now. So they've got Voodoo Ranger Juice Force, Voodoo Ranger Imperial IPA, Voodoo Ranger. What's the other one?
I gotta get Jorge
Raven.
on here. Jorge, let me know if you're down to come on.
There's
Not next
all
week.
kinds of variations, but yeah, they're killing it.
The death thing, even liquid death. Like, how did the hell did liquid death, carbonated water, just took
Yeah,
over?
yeah, it's
Every
crazy.
every place sells it. Liquid death, the dumbest fucking motto ever. Murder your thirst. That's like dumber than the NBC thing. Murder your thirst. Okay, this looks like something that like I don't know
I mean, yeah, Zool. That's their whole branding, right?
yeah, dead cat or dead whatever the thing was from not Gremlins, Zool,
Um,
Sigourney Weaver,
Mythbusters, or
Ghostbusters.
Mythbusters,
Yeah,
Mythbusters. Yeah,
Skulls are
Jamie Hyneman.
Grateful Dead rip-offs. I like that. And you can't use skulls for sports teams. It's got to be kind of like a rebel thing, right? Like bands or skateboard company. It's not like a family.
The what's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I guess they're not skulls,
That's
but
not
they
a
have
skull. Raiders? No,
but they have a skull on their flag. Buccaneers.
they do.
Yeah.
They do. They
Mhm.
okay. The newer ones, yeah. The creamsicle ones back in
Yeah,
the
back in
day.
the day it was
The
the
pirate with the
dude with
knife. Yeah, it was pretty much the Raiders guy. They do have a skull.
hmm I'm cracking my third one, so
Yeah, I'm on like round
I know
3 or 4.
where we're at.
Cheers, everyone. What's up, y'all? Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're starting a brewery that's going to sell lagers and
What are
sweet
you
stuff.
drinking?
Uh, it's going to have a skull on it. It does have a skull on it. Look, it's got a skull
That's
on it.
like the only people that market to you are people that with skulls and
Skulls.
iconography. That's funny.
Couch time. Everything's got a skull.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah. Have you heard of a Broken Skull from it's
Stone
the
Cold Steve
beer
Austin.
Jungle Steve Austin brewed
Yeah.
by El Segundo Brewing.
Yeah. That's Orange County or LA.
El Segundo?
Yeah, that's Orange County or Los Angeles.
I thought they were in Texas. Yeah, I don't know why I thought
I
that
think
was
I'm
in
right, but I'm
Texas.
not sure.
Stone Cold's from Texas.
Do people care anymore whether it's a celebrity behind it or this and that? Does that matter?
In the beer world, I don't know.
I don't
I've
think
only
so.
seen a couple of beer, like Troy Aikman has his brand 8, and I'd be curious to see what their numbers look like.
Jay Cutler has a brewery
But
in Nashville. Never heard of it.
I think there's just not. I mean, the brand endorsement, like the celebrity brand endorsement, or
LA.
not like influencer
Thanks,
endorsement, is
Zach.
great for products that have like scale and margin. But like at the end of the day, if you endorse a beer and you sell a bunch of, obviously, like you sell a bunch of volume, you can potentially make more money. You still have to you still have to fight for that shelf space. You still have to build a brewery, or if you're
Yeah.
contract brewing, then your margin's even tighter. And then you have to pay that celebrity or that influencer, or whoever it is. And so I'm always curious, like on the beer side of things, how much profitability is there if you were to back it and sell like a ton of beer?
Who moves Voodoo Rangers beer? Do they have their own distribution? They're everywhere, man.
No, I mean, there are probably many different distributors across the country.
Right. It's not just one. What's up,
No, I don't
Novastar?
think
What's going on, everyone? Atomic Pumpkin is so good, and pumpkin beers suck. That's cool, and that's good to know. But like, pumpkin beers aren't. I mean, that's a seasonal niche beer, but you'll never see like that the way you would see, Bud Light or Coors Light and this and that. But good looking out, man, and enjoy those beers, Braj. Sorry for the delay again. I know I said that earlier. Liquid Death was a reformed alcoholic who wanted a badass can for some water. Shout out to that dude, whoever that dude
Yeah.
is, Foz Dog. That's just
No, it's a brilliant like business and marketing story.
because he gave it to
There's a couple of
everybody. He gave it to every podcast. He gave it. He's like, here, I'll just give you.
yeah, basically just like making. I mean, it's essentially it's make a craft beer, but it's water. It's the marketing, the branding, the reach.
You're right.
It's
It's always at
pretty crazy.
breweries. It's always a non-alcoholic option. They've got the lime, the mango. They've got the still water. It's so weird to drink water from a can that's not carbonated.
I remember Dasani. They used to have that in cans.
Yeah,
And it was still
you get those on airplanes.
kind
It's
of
super
gross.
weird. I know.
Mhm.
Jorge Castro, New Belgium is owned by Corinne, if I'm not mistaken, and they have a huge distribution
Sure,
channel.
yeah.
I did not know that. Smart move by Corinne though, because New Belgium is everywhere.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they're crushing it. They
they're crushing it,
rebranded
man.
the
I want to go back
Cat
to your.
Tire.
I want to go back to your thing recently. Like when you had your brewery going, did you have to hear from everybody like what to do? You didn't have employees, but you got all these drunk customers telling you like how you should run your brand. Like that would drive me crazy. Did you deal with that?
Oh yeah, yeah, and then multiply that with YouTube. But
Right.
yeah, a lot of although I will say like the audience that I've gotten on YouTube like has been so kind and supportive. It's been kind of shocking because I
Yeah.
just assumed like 30% of the comments would all be negative, but everybody that has been there's a couple outliers, but everybody's been super supportive. But yeah, it's the you shoulds are it's kind of like a small business. It's like a running joke is the every single person has a you should like you should do this, you should have music on Fridays, you should have
Different beer
you know
styles.
rodeo, you should have a bull ride in the middle of here, you should have pool tables over here, yeah, different beer styles. So yep, but luckily I'm stubborn, and
Just
also
give them the
probably the reason I
smile.
closed my business, but
Let them know
yeah.
that they're right, and in the back, just be like, I hate this motherfucker.
uh
It,
And also, like, I'm pretty transparent. I mean, I tell people exactly what's on my mind most of the time. And when people are like, "Oh, have you tried this?" or "You should do this," if it's something that I have tried or I have insight into, and I'm like, "Hey, this is the reason why. If you're interested, here's like an actual explanation rather than lip service and just like blowing it off."
Yeah, and it's a tough thing to you because everyone probably knew that you were the owner, right? You're the only person there. So people are really going to tell you that. You're not just going to say that to a bartender or a
Yeah,
beer tender. When you're the owner, people are going to be like, dude, you got to like, dude, neon night. And you're like, dude, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, man. Like,
yeah,
what up, Clayton
yeah. But
Gerard?
I dealt with it pretty well. I think I wasn't too burnt out on it.
What's your take on bad Yelp reviews? Because I think it's the most ridiculous thing ever in the brewing world. Like I get Yelp reviews or Angie's List reviews. Like if we're going to hire an electrician, this guy's got 6 reviews on, and the 2 of the reviews were like, hey, this guy is a no call, no show, and this guy lit my house on fire. That carries weight. But all the bad reviews on Yelp are like, they didn't say hi to me at the
Yeah.
door, and they didn't, their beer wasn't good. It's like, this did nothing at all. And you're just letting people know that you are a fucking bad person. You're that. And not only that, but you have
Yeah.
your real profile picture and your name by it. And you're complaining about that. They wanted 3 IDs for 3 beers and they held their ground because you were from out of town and didn't know that in California or wherever it's one beer per ID. So they're going to give you a bad Yelp review. And in the brew world, it means nothing. Like you could get the best review ever, the worst review ever. It's the exact opposite of the electrician guy. Would that piss you off, or do you treat it the same way as like a YouTube comment?
No, I have a very topical example of this that happened a few months ago. So first of all, I think Yelp is pretty much
Dead weight.
dying,
Yeah.
if not dead. Yeah, the people that use Yelp anyways, it's not as effective as it once was. But I had a very negative experience with a customer, they had a very negative experience, which I was super bummed to find out. And I found out about it on Google and on Yelp. They posted the same. I mean, it wasn't verbatim the same thing, but similar reviews on both platforms. And on Google, it was like, okay, 1-star review, diatribe. I responded like, hey, I didn't interpret it that way, blah blah blah. And then whatever, it brought my rating from a 5. I'd only gotten 5-star reviews to a 4.9, just a weighted average. And then on Yelp, which have only had like 2 reviews or 3 reviews on ever because hardly anybody uses it, it brought it down from like a 5-star to a 3 just from one review. And I was like, okay, that's a little crazy.
But you knew that the bottom line meant nothing, right? It's not going to affect the positive or the negative for the next week.
For the business, I knew that on Yelp it probably wasn't that big of a deal, but it also like it made me feel bad. I didn't feel good about
It's
it.
an eternal thing, but it's.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the bottom line.
On Google though, if you had enough of those, it absolutely would affect it. Like it absolutely would change the dynamic of how people went to your establishment. If you had like 4 or 5 1-star reviews and they all highlighted the same thing and that resonated with somebody, that would populate and people would be like, oh yeah, I'm not going to go there because they don't, whatever, they don't like blonde people, or they talk down to my cousin. And so yeah, that it can definitely affect the way that the consumer interacts with the business, but on Yelp I think it's less of an issue.
I just feel like who on planet Earth is going to Yelp or Google reviews to see if a place is good or not? Even if you're new in town or you're a tourist on foot traffic, you're going to go to a spot that you've heard of. You're going to go to one big spot, whether it's Stone in San Diego or Dancing Gnome in Pittsburgh or Burial in Nashville. And then from there, you're going to talk to people and you're going to figure out where to go. I would never look at a TripAdvisor or a Yelp or this and that. And
You're not the demographic thing, because it happens all the time.
It
I had
does?
so many all the time. I had so many people that came in specific because I asked every single customer that came in, how'd you hear about us? And a significant portion of them was like Google, which is like, okay, Google, what does that mean? But several of that customer base was like, oh, y'all had 5 stars, so we came.
Okay.
So it's definitely.
But it's just
matters.
so
Yelp,
manipulated. You could tell your friends to do it. You could pay money to get them taken away. I just feel like whether you're, the nicest steakhouse in the world or McDonald's, sooner or later it's a scale thing, right? You're not going to have 1,000 customers come in and all have the same experience. Someone's going to.
Yeah.
And I also have overheard people at a bar. I didn't get the context, but I caught the end of it. And I heard this guy say, no matter where I go, I give them a bad Yelp review. And this is why there's people like that out there in the world. There's people like that out there that comment on my YouTube channel. There's horrible people on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Fucking A, man.
The good news with the YouTube is it doesn't track to any rating system. You don't have people aren't looking at your channel like, oh, this guy gets 30% bad comments.
I'm going to send you something crazy right now. What's your phone number? Well, don't tell me on this, but did I ever tell you a story about when the guy was saying, I was working at a bar and the dude was saying the N-word? I turned around, I was like, what the fuck out of here. And he was trying to explain to me that saying an N-bomb is within the context, you can get a pass because it's in the English dictionary. And I was like, dude, you got to get the fuck out of here right now. And I'm looking out for everyone. Like, you need to get punched. Someone's probably going to want to punch you. And he went home and he gave a bad Yelp review. And Yelp didn't take that down for months. I'm going to send you I know I've probably talked about it. I'm going to send you the actual review. But that dude legitimately brought the average down because he wanted to say racial slurs. Like, there's horrible people on planet Earth.
Yeah, that's pretty shitty.
Yeah, let me send this to you. Hold on. Let's go to. So that's today. Okay, Instagram goes the other way. Okay. I just sent that to you. Zach Pearson, I think I'm drunk. Let's get drunk. Let's get drunk. It's the first one. You know what?
I thought that's what we were doing.
I know. I legitimately thought that my shit was going to overheat and this and that. And you know what? We should get drunk tonight because I only drink like 1 or 2 days a week nowadays.
Really? Good for you.
Yeah, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. You got to earn your beers. You got to earn the beers.
Right.
Did you get my text on the Yelp guy?
Yeah, I'm reading it right now. Yeah.
How insane is that? And the dude's name was English Tony. For the record, he wasn't a black dude saying the N-word. So he really doubled down. Even if you were black.
And he doubled down. I was gonna read it, and then
yeah, that was me, dude. That went viral. That was all over the beer accounts and this and that. I heard the dude in the back. I was like, I was pouring a beer facing the draft. I was like, did someone just say ninja? Like, did someone just fucking drop an N-bomb? And I looked back, and all of his friends were like, chill, fucking chill.
That's wild that he wouldn't just be like, I said a word that he got triggered by, and he said I couldn't, like,
triggered by the one word. Dude, and I've been on the other side of that, where I've worked at places where I've, this guy will be like, dude, I've been in the military for 10 years. I didn't fucking do 2 tours in Iraq just to come back and, hear all this like LGBTQ stuff. And I'm like, hey man, don't have this conversation here. And I've gotten in trouble for that. They're like, owners have been like, hey, don't eavesdrop into customers' conversations. Like, I didn't eavesdrop. Like, just if I'm behind the bar and you want to, go on a fucking drunken whatever rant, I don't care, left, right, whatever, like, go home and have this conversation.
Yeah, especially if you're making people feel uncomfortable. I've had a couple of instances where I'm like, this is not it doesn't matter what point you're making. Like, this conversation is making somebody else uncomfortable.
There's also the third party thing. Say if you don't say anything now, or maybe you're hard of hearing. Now there's customers around the corner that are like, whoa, these guys are talking about starting up like a KKK rally. And the staff doesn't give a shit about it. Now I'm going to complain about this place. So the safest move is just to be like, hey, politics left or right, Trump or Biden, shut the fuck up, go home and, put on whatever.
Tanglefoot 2024. I just want to throw that out there.
Who?
Tanglefoot 2024.
Tanglefoot 2024.
Let's go.
Homebrew for Life 2024.
Mm-hmm.
But in the, at the end of the day, like, are you stoked that you don't have to deal with this shit anymore? Like drunk people, like you only have your threshold because I work with people.
I didn't deal with drunk people, to be fair. Only like a handful over the 3 years I was open.
Because you had minimal hours, low percentage beers. You kind of you weren't selling shots, a fireball. No one was throwing up in the bathrooms. Nobody was fighting, right?
I had a very, very low amount of sales, but I had a very high value customer, if that makes sense. Like the people that came in
had class,
and they came in to drink the beers and enjoy the beers and not get wasted.
Right.
And I did have a couple of people that I turn around and it's my fault. I'm the one that's serving all the beers, but I turn around, I'm like, this guy's had 7 beers in the last hour. What the fuck? Should probably cut him off.
Way different than 7 shots, though. Way different than 7 shots. I mean, what was the worst? Did you ever have to break up a fight or actually jump over the bar and act fast? Right. Yeah.
No, the weirdest thing that happened like in the last couple of months is I had a
car accident.
I had these 2 guys come in, and one of them just beeline to the bathroom, and then the other one was like, oh yeah, we're just waiting for a table, and he comes out of the bathroom, he's like, yeah, just trying to get a table. And I was like, you can sit wherever you want. I was like, oh yeah, just 2 of us. Like, okay. And then I quickly realized they're not drunk, they're
on more than drugs.
You're on acid. They're on acid.
Yeah.
And so, it just ended up being like, hey, man, we're closing down and you have to leave right now.
Right.
But, yeah, nothing too crazy.
And I do want to do a video of this. And I'm even though I talk a lot of shit, I kind of, do what we're doing right now. I've got a lot of stories I want to say, but like I said, I still do pour beers Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at an establishment. But I've had like a top 10 of why, drunk people are the same exact as toddlers, like people.
Yeah.
I had, goddamn, man, I remember this one time when I was at Highwire. I could talk about Highwire now because I don't work there, but I had this woman, and we did have liquor, but she wasn't drinking liquor. She went in the bathroom, and I didn't see her go in. Somebody came out after. It was a young girl that was like, "Hey, you got to clean the bathroom up in there." And was going to the bathroom, she's taking a shit, and then while she was taking a shit, she threw up. And when she threw up, she like bent over and then like kind of shit on the toilet. So there was like poo on top of the toilet.
Yeah.
And I went in there and I was by myself because we weren't busy enough to have two people on Sundays and Mondays. And with that, like, I'm the only person there. So if I've got to clean up a bathroom for 20 minutes or half an hour, people are waiting in line and they're all pissed off now. And I went to the bathroom and it was just fucking horrible. I think like the Chargers were playing that day too. It just fucked everything up. And I remember she still tried to like chill and play, because Highwire's very like Billy Madison birthday oriented, a lot of ping pong and soccer, this and foosball. And she was still trying to hang out. And I was like, you're older than me. I just cleaned up your shit and your barf. You need to go home now or clean this up. You can't still just chill here. This isn't like, give me all the bad Yelp reviews you want. Like this, the unwritten rules are the best rules. If you diarrhea or fucking splat an establishment and throw up on the ground, fucking go home and never come back. You can't still just be like, hey, where's the darts? Hey, here's my license for some billiard. Fuck no. And I look back and all the customers staring at me like I'm the guy that's taking a shit or doing drugs in there. I'm like, guys, I got the mop bucket. Like, fuck, man. Like, this would never happen unless alcohol wasn't involved, So there's got to be a little bit of, trying to get away from alcohol. Has got to be a sense of like, okay, this is giving me more peace of mind. Even in construction or whatever, you're going to have shit days and this and that. You're not dealing with like throw up and shit on the ground or whatever.
Yeah, it's something that made a lot on me at Black Star, the last the brew pub that I worked at. And
Blackwood Brews, man.
Dealt with a bunch of crazy shit like that. Not necessarily alcohol related, but just like weird stuff. Like cleaning up human shits outside on the patio once a month or whatever, and just things where, man, every industry has ups and downs and benefits and negatives about it, but like, I don't think if you sell insurance, you're pulling like bloody tampons off at the door that somebody intentionally hung on the door.
Yeah.
For you to accidentally touch. Like, right. I don't think you'd have to deal with that. So it does give you a pause and say like, what do I really want to be doing? Whether it's your brewery or not, have you ever been to a place just as a patron, like your top three of like, I never want to drink ever again, or I'm never coming back to this place? Have you ever seen like girls fight over broken glass or somebody overdose? Have you ever had like a really bad experience like that? I've never had, there's definitely places that I've gone and I'd be like, I'm never coming back here just because I don't like certain vibe, certain scene of people that I just don't want to be around, don't want to associate with. And so that's happened. I've been super fortunate in that I've never really been in any like confrontations in a bar setting where it's like, oh man, people are just drunk and wild and somebody could get hurt. But I'm pretty quick to be like, read the room and be like, oh, I can sense this is not a place that I need to be.
Dude, I was at a brewery about a year ago, and this wasn't in Knoxville, and I could tell the story, even though I'm not going to say the name of the brand. But you know how a lot of breweries have the motion sensor lights in the bathrooms?
Yeah.
Right, and there's a line, so clearly someone's in there, and you can look at the bottom, right? Especially at night, you could see the light on or the lights off. And I was the next in line, or maybe the guy behind the next in line, and the light went off, and we're like, okay, someone's in there. And the light's off.
They're not moving.
And they're not moving. So we got the manager and he came around. We opened the door and the person was waking up from shooting up heroin. But they put the syringe in the trash. So when you take the trash out, it could just, poke you and you get Hep C or HIV or whatever. And I just remember thinking, it was at a brewery, and I just remember thinking, I couldn't deal with this. Like imagine, not only that, but imagine if, breweries now are all geared towards having families and all this stuff in there. A Karen went in there, and then not only did somebody almost die an overdose in your establishment, but now they're going to give you a bad review because they brought their kid in there to go to the bathroom and they saw a syringe. Now they're going to put it all over the internet. Like the establishment, that could be a pizza joint. That could be a McDonald's. Like you have no control over that. I
literally dealt with that exact same situation.
Yeah. I was like, dude,
at Blackstar.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna start my landscaping business or my drywall company or my
There's nothing weirder than like doing your nightly rounds of cleaning the bathroom and then finding like heroin syringes and the whatever the seat cover thing.
Have you ever seen the plastic ones? The ones they steal from toys. They can still shoot up if they use there's kids' toys that use fake plastic syringes. They can get the real metal on there, but there's a whole different thing. Yeah, I've seen plastic syringes before.
I've seen that.
Yeah, or I don't know what they were. Maybe it was from a different country or from a veterinarian thing. But I've seen multiple syringes. I was like, man. And again, this isn't a bar or a brewery thing. This could be a family fun center. Anytime.
Yeah.
Did you get homeless people come in? They're like, "Can I use your bathroom or can I use your phone?" You're like, "Fuck, man. What would you do? Here's a cup of water. Hell no, you're not using my phone. You get 2 minutes in the bathroom."
The phone only happened a couple of times, but the bathroom thing happened all the time, and there were actually quite a few problems. That problem in particular was one of them, and then we had as formerly the place I worked at several instances of people being violent against customers, and one woman in particular that was
transient
actively would hit and slap customers in the women's restroom. So several different weird things. I had a guy that came in and would routinely ask for a jalapeno, eat the jalapeno, and then puke all over the condiment station.
Wait, what?
Multiple times.
What?
Yeah, so a lot of weird.
What? What's up, Elementary? Big shout out to Brewing Bad, man. Much love. Thank you for gifting those memberships, man. That helps out. Good to see Elementary. I'm gonna give a shout out to him here in a second because he's put out the fucking best cider video. He put out his best video, and it's not doing good. I watched it twice. As far as views go, the Brew Show put out a killer video on Negro Modelo, and I don't know, man. We're just not getting views. And the Brew Show's video was phenomenal.
Tell me about the YouTube sitch. I've only been doing this for a couple of years now, and not really full time or anything. But what's your journey been like?
My journey with YouTube is that I blew it for the most part, especially not blew it, but when I got into YouTube, I don't think maybe it mattered or didn't matter, or I didn't know, but I remember seeing videos on how to keg that were 40 minutes or 45 minutes to an hour, and they would just have 500,000 views. So I didn't know that, I think as time goes on, people's attention spans are going to be less and less and less. And I'm in that cohort, sometimes you wake up on Instagram, I've got 500 memes that people want to send me. I'm like, dude, these are screenshots and 30-second reels. I don't even know if I can look at this. And I'm sending them as well. So I think when I started doing the beer thing, it was just do what you want to do, make a home video, and then over time you kind of figure out the algorithm is all about CTR and average view duration, and then you think you've got that honed in, and then you figure out that it's all about the reels. And I look at Golden Hive, for example, who's coming out next week. Golden Hive, Charlie, who does the Mountain Dew.
I've seen clips, yeah.
Sure. So he kills it in the short thing. People want to see the boom, 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 the 59-second, and he's got the short format down better than anyone I've ever seen. How to make mead in 59 seconds, and then he'll put out an 8-minute video and it'll bomb. So it's like the exact opposite of what me and elementary and the brew show and Clawhammer and this and that. I'm clearly the most biased person in here. Like I said, I watched Brian's Elementary's video twice. I watched the brew shows twice. Clawhammer put out a video. Cityscape put out a video. I tried to watch it on my phone and then remembered enough to go give them another view on my 55-inch Insignia that I just put up. And that's how you can really watch something, right? You can't really watch something on your phone. You need to see it on a TV without fucking Snapchat popping up and Instagram popping up. But for my view, like my relationship with the brew world on YouTube, when I got into it, it was awesome. Probably in 2017. I think it peaked during COVID. And like Brian's video, I think his last video was his best video when he had his buddies over, and Brian nailed it. He was like, hey, it's so much nicer to have sugar starting from scratch. And he had Costco in the background. His friends were over. And at the end of the video, he pretty much said that craft beer isn't where it is. And his neighbors and his community loves this stuff more, kind of adapt or die. And it was just a good video. And it's just, I thought the cider video would hit for sure. His video is not doing that good. So give Elementary Brewing some love. Check out his last cider video. But it's it's just so much nicer to start with sugar. But any which way, I think I'm getting kind of buzzed. Beer is worse than it's ever been. And do you watch Don Osborne? Dono? He made a video where he just kind of talked about like who still brews. Homebrew places are all out of business for the most part. People are getting older. It's tougher to do. And Brian brought this up in his video. It's like he's got kids. Like starting with sugar takes hours off mashing in and, weighing out. You can just, buy a thing from Costco, grab it and dump it. There's no weighing out. There's no scale. There's no, this and that. Just a different thing. Ultimately, I think that which really carries the homebrewing community isn't homebrewing. I think it's fermentation. If you're just fermenting and putting out something that's good and delicious, you're not going to get shit on or ripped on or whatever. But I just think that homebrewing, people wanting to learn, there's just way more people getting out that are coming in.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
For sure.
Bottom line. And I could say that with hoppy beers too. People that used to drink IPAs are not drinking IPAs the way they used to. They're going back to this or that. There's just, when did 2010, man? It wasn't even hazy IPA. It wasn't even session IPA. It wasn't even called West Coast IPA. Remember when IPAs were just India Pale Ale? Not Indian, it was India Pale Ale. There wasn't West Coast. Yeah. And then they were under the umbrella of pale ales. They weren't even that big yet. And then it came out of nowhere. It was like the West Coast Pale. And it's So that
Dogfish was like the first kind of like well-established nationally available IPA. At least like for
you, we had Racer 5. Yeah. We still had Stone. I didn't even know about Ballast Point till later on. Racer 5 was huge. Mendocino County was huge. Just a whole different thing. So my relationship with YouTube now, if I get the perfect video, say it's the perfect hazy, 10% CTR, which means like people are clicking on it. People stuck around for 6 minutes. It's still only going to get like 10 to 12,000 views, So, 10 years ago, that video would have got maybe like 50 or 60,000 views.
So I've heard you talk before about like going full time or whatever. Like, do you have, obviously it's dependent on the growth of the channel and your views and stuff, but like, are you seeing your CPM drop from like for the average amount of views that you used to get?
Yeah, it's not good. It's definitely not good.
Is that like part of a reason why you think that that's not like sustainable or?
Oh, I know it's not sustainable. And kind of what you talked about earlier about taking the same business model. I'm going to start a new YouTube channel, and it's going to be the exact opposite of Homebrew for Life. It's going to have nothing to do with alcohol. It's going to be the same format, like me being a dick off and me
Homebrew
being
for death, and it's all skulls.
yeah.
It's just
Like
skulls.
DIY for life. Like, it's going to have nothing to do with alcohol. It's going to be more real related, and it's going to be where I don't have to wait 2 fucking weeks to have content because this shit's fermenting, like on paper, and I'm glad, people are bummed out that Apartment Steve is finally or they're bummed out that he's taking a break. And I'm proud that he's taking a break because I know he just had a kid. Here's the thing about homebrew channels. You do everything you want to do, kind of like me, or kind of like Martin from the homebrew challenge, and like I drink like 5 styles of beer. I don't know how Martin did all those styles, and you just get to the point where you've got everything you've wanted to do, and you stop, or you just start redoing everything all over again, and sooner or later you just hit the wall, and it's like an upside down like escalator or like a revolving door, like there'll be a new hop that comes out next month. It'll be called something like Apache or Machine Gun, and everyone will be all into it. But like in a blind taste contest, it's just like a million other hops, and I don't know. I'm thinking about starting a DIY channel. I will always do YouTube. I'm brewing twice next week with I'm gonna fucking cry thinking about it. I'm not gonna cry, but like I can't brew 5-gallon batches of beer by myself unless I'm having people coming to town, or a video will really go viral, and it's not, so I really got to pick and choose with that. And I don't know. Like I said, I bought a house from the 50s. There's a lot of things I've already saved a lot of money on. Every outlet was 2-prong, and I switched them out, and I got, GFCI breakers on the panel and this and that. And I was looking at the views on these videos, and they're like millions of views. I'm like, this is the easiest shit in the fucking world.
Yeah.
Like killing your electricity, and like blacks your live wire. If it's aluminum, it's an old wire. It might have the cloth on it. The good wires are copper, but my shit doesn't have a ground. How do you deal with the ground? Well, you got to go to the breaker box and put in a $60 breaker for each one. There's a million different things that I could do that are so much easier than brewing and get so many more views that like sooner or later I have to kind of do this.
Oh, my last video did pretty good. You should try doing a video about closing a brewery.
Dude, there's a joke in there.
Better than the other one.
There's a stand-up joke in there because I've noticed that my friends in San Diego, that they're like, hey, we're going to close up today. Like their Instagram post finally gets a lot of likes and people finally care now. And everyone's like, dude, I would have came out of the woodwork and supported you this whole time. Like, where the fuck weren't you the last 5 years, you fucking fake friend, you?
The whole last 2 weeks, and after I announced it, it was like the running joke was like, this is just my June marketing budget. It's my promotion.
We're back. June. Yeah. That's hilarious, man. Yeah. That's fucking hilarious. And I knew a guy in San Diego back in 2018. And this goes back to my whole thing of like the 3 things why craft beer failed. Wrong people. People that just came into money, there's no bar exam to become a brewer. There's no book of medicine. The bar exam filters out a lot of people that want to be lawyers like me from being fucking lawyers. But with opening up a brewery, all you need is money. And this dude had money, and he would lie about anniversaries because anniversaries are probably your biggest sales day of the year. The Saturday is like a $10,000 or $15,000. So he would lie with like, dude, it's like the guy that wants to get out of the guy that the coworker that calls out 4 times a year that says your grandma dies. It's like, how many fucking grandmas do you have, dude? Like what? How many birthdays like what the hell's going on?
Just got to do it on repeat. I do have to say, I've been reading the comments, guys, and I'm sorry that I haven't mentioned anything, but I did see Blackwood Brews saying he has 2 hobbies, golf and brewing, and that's similar to me.
I suck at golf.
If you're interested in any brewing and golf content, you let me know. Go watch my beer athlon video that I did, but yeah, golf and brewing is like the two things that occupy most of my headspace.
We need to come up with a fake band, a fake brewery like Spinal Tap. We're like 6 times a year we go out of business, but then we create a GoFundMe and like we thank everyone to come back. Dude, we'll be making Enron money, man. You know, like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I'm saying this as a joke, this and that. Stoked, everyone's still here. Can you hold it down? I finally broke the seal.
Sure.
Can you
Yeah,
chill with
yeah,
the chat?
yeah.
All
And
right,
when
I'll
you
be
get
right back.
back, I'll break my seal.
All right,
So
and I'm gonna grab like
yeah,
4
I'll
more
get the
beers too.
chat.
No
I
one's
got
allowed to go anywhere. No one's allowed to go anywhere. This is when it finally gets fun. Let's go.
yeah, man. Turn it up to 11. As soon as you took the headphones off, I did the Spinal Tap joke. But yeah, thanks for being on the chat and the live stream, y'all. I have the YouTube tab open outside of the Discord tab, so I think it's lagging behind. So, but if anybody has anything in the comments that I can talk about, just drop it, and it may take a couple of seconds for it to upload. Oh man, Tanglewood, let's get some golf, man. You like barbecue? Do I like barbecue? Hell yeah, I like barbecue. I grew up in a barbecue restaurant that I then opened a brewery in, and yeah, I dig barbecue. I know you're in I know you're in Austin. What part of Austin are you in, man? I'd be down to get some golf in. I play Hancock a lot, which is the 9-hole course that's like in central Austin, but it's super cool. Pay station, really accessible. Haven't brewed any of your beers, but they're on my to brew list. I like it. Yeah, man, brew 'em. They're up there. I had so many people come into the brewery the last couple of weeks from after I announced the closure that had told me like, yeah, man, love the beers. I brewed at home, and it's just like really cool to see people brewing that stuff. So that if you do it, shoot me a message with a picture or something. I actually had a couple come in from the Netherlands that came to the States to do like a statewide road trip, and then they stopped in Texas. Temple was the only stop in Texas to come see me at Tanglefoot, which I thought was pretty dope. Um, best check recipes, bro. Thank you, Foz Dog. They're very simple, but I hope y'all brew them and like them. Tanglefoot, I'm in Manor, so my local course is Shadow Glen. I love Shadow Glen. Actually, I played there. It's a little pricey, but I played there a couple of times. I played disc golf quite a lot, so I played the disc golf course out there. What's that park called? I forget. But anyways, there's a really nice long disc golf course out there in Manor that's pretty cool. Yeah, man, I'd be down to come meet up for Shadow Glen. Hit me up on Instagram. Send me a message. Maybe we can connect. Let's see. Yeah, I'm all into golf and still drink beer. So it's a combination of my two loves.
Oh, I'm rambling.
So,
I got like
you're rambling. Yeah.
I've got like 7 beers left too. We're all going to hell. We're all getting canceled tonight. Let's go. What are we talking about? What do I walk into?
We were talking about golf, and about potentially playing.
I'm playing golf tomorrow.
Some golf out at Shadow Glen here in it's just outside of Austin and Manor. Alias, is it Elias or
Alias? Just talk to Alias. There's like 2 things I'm good
yeah.
at. Golf is not one of them. We played best ball with Alias. I think we used his ball every time, except for that one time that dude hit that 20-foot putt. That was cool. Thanks, Alias. Much love. Alias and Gnome are coming on next weekend. Love to get Trevor or Jorge Castro on after that. Beer. Get in there, yeah. I want to know what it's like to open up, to have a brewery nowadays. What's up, Joshua? What's up, Joshua Brand? Shout out to everyone who's still here. Yeah, got a lot of things I could ramble about. Sorry, apologize for that though, guys. I have brewed your beers and they were great. Foz Dog, much love, man. I think that, and I want to talk to Tanglefoot about this. You know, I think that home brewers have it the best figured out. And granted, I only brew like 4 or 5 times a year, but like branding is this whole other thing. Like we could just make beers that we want. It doesn't have to be fucking cool. We don't have to think about like the skull and crossbones thing or kissing ass and this political trying to get into beer fest and this and that. You know, like we're just having fun converting sugar into alcohol. And you can leave it at that and show it off in front of your friends and have a good time. There's no monetization or weird permits or weird asking family members for money and all, you know, like, I don't know. I love every home brewer, but I also like hate 90% of breweries. I don't hate them. I just think like you didn't need to monetize this. You didn't need to like, I get it. We're all trying to get paid and we're all trying to be the man, but you shouldn't have done this. You should, and you really could know what you're doing. And again, like I said, 2024, 2025, there's going to be brands out there that are killing it. And I guarantee you it's going to have very little to do with the beer. It's going to have very little to do with the beer.
All right.
Sorry.
In honor of all
what
this
happened? I blacked out.
talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Sorry.
Okay, I'm going in for a West Coast Pilsner, which the nomenclature in beer is out of control. Twisted tea, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Twisted tea light.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Bring me in.
Not my choice, but
It is your choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice of a generation. Pepsi. I'm just kidding. How old are you, Andy?
34.
Okay, so we grew up with the majority of the same shit.
Yeah, and when you were describing earlier about getting into craft beer in 2010, that's exactly when I got into it.
And you were 20?
Yep.
Damn, Sam.
Yes, sir.
We've talked about
I got
this. Yeah,
I was working in a restaurant in Arizona, and we did a lot of beer. Not a lot, but we did some beer pairings. There were some brews out there, Santan Brewing and Four Peaks Brewing in Arizona, and then that had a coworker that showed me how to homebrew, and kind of the rest is history. I turned 21 and then went ape shit and drank as much beer as I could, and fell in love with it. Started homebrewing more and more, and then moved back to Austin to be around a cool beer city, and
gotcha.
Got a job in a brewery.
Bergs, are you drinking tonight? Me and Bergs 24. We went out last week with some coworkers, good-looking ladies, and there wasn't almost a fight, but I remember we were hanging out with two coworkers from Zool, and next thing you know, there was like two guys like at our table, and we're looking at each other, and this one dude was rubbing up on one of the girls, and we were like, "Hey man, like take it the fuck easy." Me and Bergs looked at each other. We're like, "I'm 39, Bergs is 35. Like, are we gonna fucking beat these guys up or get our asses kicked, man?" Like, it's alcohol.
One or the other.
Well, when it comes down to protecting women or children, I'm all for that. If a guy's like, "Hey, man, your shirt sucks. You're an idiot," I'm like, "Cool, you win. You're the man. You got it all. This and that." Yeah. But I remember I remember looking around. I was like, "Bergs, why did we let these guys at our table? It was a table for four." And I just remember this guy was like too touchy-feely with this cute little blonde girl who's our friend that we work with. And we're like, "Hey, man, like you got to, hey, what the fuck are you doing here? Stop touching our friend." We all got to go. The power of alcohol, like we just talked about. Like we could have been working and been on the other side of that bar and been like, "Oh, here we go, drunk motherfuckers." Da, da, da. Let's not talk about hockey, please. Someone just lose?
I don't know.
For you being from Austin, are you a big sports guy?
I like sports. I don't follow. There's nothing that's happening right now that I particularly care about.
What about the Rangers?
I don't care about baseball. I like the Cowboys.
What? Baseball's
the
best sport.
False. I disagree. Hard disagree.
What do you watch? WNBA exhibition? Like, I'm kidding.
I'd take WNBA over baseball. No,
it's all the time we have.
I've watched.
I'm just kidding.
I
kind of.
watch football is the like primary thing I'm into, but I do watch some. I watch like the major golf tournaments every now and then.
I'm more into
I
golf. Yeah.
actually really I love the sport of hockey. I grew up watching hockey live. Like I watched the Stars. I grew up in the Dallas area, but I don't watch it ever on TV. I don't know why. It's just I
It
don't know.
doesn't do
It's not on my radar.
justice. It's the puck
Yeah,
is
it
too
doesn't do it
small.
justice.
Yeah. When you're there, you're like, dude, these guys are checking the shit out of each other. They're missing their teeth. You see the scars like right here on TV. They need to do like a video game thing, or maybe they do now, but back in the day, they didn't. But like put a little like,
A ring around it.
yeah, Wayne Gretzky's Nintendo 64 video game. Like a,
Yeah.
I don't know, any which way. Yeah, we're not going back to wagon wheel anytime soon, Bergsy. Imperial
Yeah.
Pale Ale. Sorry, what's up?
No, I like sports. I love sports. I love playing sports. But just
Soccer's
don't keep up
back.
with stuff.
Soccer's going for it. Euro Cup, Copa America.
Yep. So there's Euro Cup, but we also have a local professional team here, Austin FC, which I'm going to go to a game, I think, in the next couple of weeks for the first time.
Yeah, I think we got one of those in
Cool.
Knoxville. It's just never really.
Nice.
I like to play
Man,
soccer.
I got to tell you, we don't really know each other that well, but I legitimately thought about coming out there like to do this in person
Cruise out,
um,
dog.
because I was like, fuck it, man. I don't have a job anymore. Might as well
Yeah,
do something, go across. And then I looked at how far the drive was, and I was like, fuck that. I'm not
yeah.
going
When I drove out here from San
2 hours.
Diego, well, Texas is the big one. Texas, I think it's the longest state east to west. It's got to be by far. If
Oh,
you're
yeah,
going
yeah, except for Alaska. Yeah.
or Alaska, I didn't think about that. Contiguous
Yeah.
America. But I remember I got to Texas when I was driving out here from San Diego. I was like, that wasn't that far because you kind of zip through Arizona and New Mexico. And then when it spits you out, you're right there at UTEP, University of Texas, El Paso. I was in Texas
Mhm.
for at least 2 days, man. I was
Yeah,
trying to get
no,
up to
takes a lot.
Texarkana. It took a long ass time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 15 and a half hours to get to Knoxville from here. And I was like, that's that is longer than I want to do at the moment.
Give me
But
another couple weeks. I've got Golden Hive and Clawhammer coming into town in 2 weeks. Then I'm going to San Diego, and then my mom's coming into town, and then I'm going to Europe, and then Poppy Pilsner,
oh, where are you going to Europe?
Greece, Albania, and Italy.
Oh,
Once you
what's
wait,
just
if you leave, like right now, tickets to Europe are $2,000, but if you wait till after summer, they're like $800. Yeah.
there you go.
But no, like the good thing, the coolest thing about my house is that it's a legitimate 3-bedroom. Like I have a guest room. When Gnome and Ollie would come into town, it would be like you get the office with the air mattress, and then Gnome's on the couch. That's Gnome's still going to be on the couch. No, I'm kidding. But like I have way better options nowadays.
Nice.
Yeah, because I host people like I don't know 4 or 5 times a year. Poppy Pilsner just sent me a
Nice.
reel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
no,
I've never
and
been
if
to
you,
Nashville. I've never been to Tennessee, so
I love it out here, man. I love it out here. It's a
yeah,
small town.
be a good
I
time.
don't think it's. Um, I say it like this: if you want to go surf, go to California. If you actually want to go to see nice beaches, don't go to California. Beaches in Florida are nicer as far as like white sand
Oh
and
yeah.
and blue water. If you want to go eat barbecue, go to Austin, Texas. If you want to go to like probably the coolest walkable beer city that I've been to, Asheville, and then Portland, Oregon. But I really want to go there. But to live, as far as where money goes, like I just bought a house for $244,000, and all I had to put down was like $8,300. That was the 3.5%.
Damn.
Yeah, and I'm almost like I want to buy another house. I mean, I'm not gonna buy another.
Yeah, just to get another one, man.
Well, they're building the Cubs as base. What's up, Gnome? No,
Undersized.
yeah, no, Gnome gets my master next time he comes into town. But I've got a thing kind of going on with my backyard right now where there's 2 old, like fucking Jeffrey Dahmer, Blair Witch Project sheds that I do want to knock out. I don't know if I want to rebuild the sheds though, because the sheds at Home Depot and Lowe's and Walmart, they're so nice for like $2,500. I don't know if it's worth it to
Yeah,
like,
they're okay. I've seen some that are better than others, but yeah, they're. I mean, it's a shed.
but I can look
It
at like I
exists.
know like you can go to Home Depot and like these aren't 2x4. Like this is 1x3. Like I can tell when it's the cheap IKEA wood and this and that. But if I'm I know what I'm doing in that regard, then it's kind of up to you, right? Like level out your backyard, figure out this and that. A lot of people don't do that. They probably just set it up super fast. Shit's not level. No, I didn't bring the cats. Didn't bring the cats. But I'm shooting a lot of my house like just by the week. And every week I look back at it, I'm like, okay, if I keep doing this for 6 months, like, should be pretty cool. Bergs, you're coming, baby. Bergs, you're coming. Let me show you guys, if you can see a picture of a picture. I'll show you guys. Andy, can you see this? So
Yeah,
here's,
mill. Yeah.
you'll see these two weird ass sheds.
Okay. There's one.
Yeah, that's like the Jeffrey Dahmer one, and that's the other Jeffrey Dahmer one. And my house
Corrugated
is behind
steel.
that. And then the house looks good. It's behind that. There's all my brew stuff. That looks like some anvil and some corny
Nice.
kegs. And then here is I don't know, it's doing that thing where it goes from vertical to horizontal. But I'm just doing little things like that, man. Like, take the shit off, pull your
Oh yeah.
wires out,
Yeah.
and see like what's good. Is it cloth? Is it bullshit? See where your 2x4s are. That's a great way to see if you're where your studs are. 9 times out of 10, the stud will be to the left or the right of an outlet or a receptacle or whatever. But my house is from the 50s, so it's not up to code. I think code is 16 inches for every state at this point. But here, Andy, check it out. Here's my MTV cribs. You walk in. So the
Oh
kitchen's
yeah.
got like that butcher block.
Yeah.
You see that?
That's dope. I love it.
It looks like, the whole kitchen's like a cutting board.
Mm-hmm.
So then
And the
here's
floor.
the floor is great. The floor is awesome. I just put those in today. I put up they didn't have any, what do you call it? Closet racks, those little poles that Home Depot sells you like 10 feet for $30.
Mm-hmm.
TV got up. That's the same couch from the last place. Don't have a table yet, so I bought those little TV dinner things.
That's what I got my laptop
That's
on
where
right
you guys
now.
are all sleeping. Everyone who comes and visits me, I got a full-on bed.
Shaggin' wagon.
Yeah, so the bummer about that room, though, is width-wise, it's only 8.5 feet. It's like 8.5 by 12. But it's just a crash pad, it's not.
This reminds me so much of the old house I used to rent.
Here's my bathroom, or my library. This is where I do all my reading. It's got a bathtub. What's up, Italian Rob? What's up, Raj? Old windows, though, that drives me crazy. It doesn't have the new white ones. Why does it got to be white? No, I need the new. Yeah, and that's the master.
It was 2 bed, 1 bath.
3-bedroom, 1 bath with 2 sheds.
beds.
Yeah. So it's ripping. Life's good, man. Life's good. I just want to be in a situation where I could do the YouTube thing more full time. And the best part about all of this is that money doesn't matter anymore. Because when I was in San Diego, I was just doing the YouTube thing, and I was helping out buddies with construction stuff, and I was always pouring beer. But for me to buy a house, I needed to work W-2 jobs. So I needed to work high wire and then pick up all these shifts at Zool and this and that. And now I can chill out on that stuff. I can go back to putting out content, and that feels really fucking good. So thanks to everybody who's watching the channel and still supporting and yada, 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 because the more that people watch the channel, the less I have to like pick up shifts and do the ass kissing thing with GMs and this and that. And I love Bergs. I love who I work with, but it's nice I have this ongoing conversation with Kyle from Climber. It's nice to be your own boss, but it's also really fucking nice to get a consistent paycheck.
Yeah, for sure.
And
So do you think that is there like
Bergie.
outside of YouTube AdSense, are you getting sponsorship deals and stuff that's kind of like padding that, or is it all AdSense?
So I'll just be straight up. Like if I want to work full time at, I can't say this. If you want to pour beer or pour drinks to be a server, it's very easy to make $1,000 a week. It's very easy to make $1,000 a week. So you're looking at $4,000 a month. For me to make $4,000 on YouTube a month, I have to break my ball. Like I have to bust fucking ass. And I've burned bridges with Yakima Valley. I burned bridges with Olive Nation because they don't know. They're like, hey, they send out their copy paste email. And I think the last sponsorship I did with the bartending thing, I got $1,500 and the video bombed. It got like 6,000 views. In my bartending video before that, I got like 50,000 views, and that's significant for a brand, right?
Okay.
So instead of them pushing like 10 units or whatever, they pushed 100 units, and it was all worth it.